goodness, we have so many people here today. Welcome to Real Life Revised. Woo! Happy Pride. I'm very excited to be here. If this is your first time at Real Life Revised, welcome. So Real Life Revised is equal opportunity prose and poetry reading. If you can write it down and you can read it out loud, it is welcome on this microphone. What is not welcome on this microphone is anything going 5 minutes and 1 second. That's right. We are not equal opportunity when it comes to length of writing and reading. So everybody who's reading, preambles count, Maurice Broadus. I hope you're listening to this on WQRT. Thank you to WQRT for hosting us on your website every month and on the radio. So what is going to happen is we're going to have featured readers and open micers come up on the microphone, and they're going to go exactly 5 minutes. You are welcome to go under. And then I'm going to do a sound test for accessibility reasons and jump scare reasons. This is what that bell sounds like. Yeah, it's loud, it's ugly, and I love to ring it. I have lots of little announcements because lots of poetry and prose things are happening in June. So, raise your hand if you run something, sometime through it. I know you do. Lisa Lowe is going to be at Nightjar on June 17th, which is a Wednesday. Nightjar is hosted by Michelle Neiman and Chris Carrier down at formerly known as Tube Factory. So, third Wednesday of every month, go see Lisa Lowe this month. Bryce Berkowitz, who is one of our readers, will be reading at Tomorrow Bookstore on Thursday, June 18th at 7:30 p.m., also with Lisa Lowe, as well as Danny Kane and Chantel Massey, who has read for us before. And David Strange is doing a lot of stuff, but I'm going to do that later in the show. So I promise I will talk about more things happening in this month. Oh, did we enjoy the cheese and or the vegetables? Thank you, cheese and vegetables from Butler. Thank you, Butler MFA. The only other thing I want to say is thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. I think it was rainy and gross, and there are a million things going on. So thank you for being here. Has anybody heard of Jenny Johnson? Yes, correct, because you went to Western Virginia, and she teaches there. Yeah. Jenny Johnson is a butch lesbian poet who is now teaching at Western Virginia University. This book changed my life. I picked this up at a poetry bookstore in Texas, in Austin, Texas, many years ago. It's filled with highlights and dog ears and all the things young poets in their 20s do to poor books. But it changed the way, it's called In Full Velvet. I'm not a deer person or a hunter person. What that refers to is when deer are in full velvet, when male deer are in full velvet, their antlers are velvety because they're going through a huge growth spurt. So these huge, very masculine and thing that attracts during the mating season, and also they use them once they're hardened to fight each other for mates. They are at their most fragile, but also their biggest growth. So that's what this book is kind of about. I can't recommend it enough all year round, but especially for Pride. And I'm going to read a poem from it to start off our day. This is Tale by Jenny Johnson. I picture the shameful length of it poking along behind me as I walk down Fifth Avenue. The odd sheen of it shimmering in shop windows, how after too many beers I'd lumber back into bed, its strangeness between my legs. But as the sun rises, the clean stretch, aesthetic vertebrae, how I might flex its elegant, careful weight. Consider my newfound balance, how gracefully I ascend a flight of stairs, teetering on one leg, my rump poised just so. Or how I might signal to my lover, wave fondly to her through the air, lift my fur to tickle her mouth, dash a small crumb off her lips. In a midnight alley, flashing my snowy underside like a switchblade, we'd sprint through underbrush. Had I a tail, I would be luminous and lingering as a comet who traces the starry night with a broken ellipsis. As a kid, I remember the small green bubble inside the carpenter's level, how it would dart from corner to corner, and how good it felt to straddle the sawhorse out behind the shed, half tomboy, half centaur, how I clenched a 2x4 between my thigh bones and it was part of me. A nest of yellow jackets rose from beneath the splinters and, forgetting how to move, how to cry, how to run, I let them sting and sting and sting 11 times, leaving swells on my arms, neck, legs, feet, and shoulders. O Lord of parts, O holy tool shed, When I rise from these sore bones, look what you've taken, what you've left me. Please read this book. It is so good. And with that, I did say this was equal opportunity. Our next reader is not a poet. Logan Taylor would like to recommend to you to play a TTRPG like Dungeons and Dragons and then tell stories together. That is his recommendation for you all today.
Strange signs. Sitting at the red light, I stare at my phone until the signal changes in my peripheral vision. I look up to see that the light has changed to blue. The middle one. The light had been red, with the top lamp lit like how red lights are, but now the middle lamp glowed blue. I search the rearview mirror for a fellow witness. No one. It's one of those pointless traffic lights at a three-way stop in the middle of desolate country roads that only go straight. Should I go? The light isn't red, but it also isn't green. Had the light been red the whole time I was approaching, or had it been green, then turned yellow? If it had gone from green to blue to red as I pulled up, then the light was simply broken. But if it had gone from green to yellow to red, then this was a different signal, a signal I didn't recognize. I cast my mind back to the hazy days of driver's education in the cafeteria of my high school. Was a blue signal part of any of those lessons? I think about calling someone, but I hate the inevitable pause after I ask a stupid question. I should just go. I lift my foot from the brake, ease forward, then press it down again. What if it's some local law? I'm just driving through this little wasteland. I could have missed a critical sign further back, maybe even just behind me, out of sight now. Signs only face one way. I never pay enough attention. The light turns red again, thank God. Now it will definitely turn green, and I can move on with my life. After 20 seconds or so, the green lamp does light up, but the red stays lit too. What the hell does that mean? I can't go and stop at the same time. A car's high beams appear in my rear view. Finally, someone else can see this madness. They come up too fast, stop too hard, keep their high beams on, blind me a little in the mirror, then honk. I try to gesture to the light, say, "What the hell do you want me to do about this?" out loud to myself in the car. They honk again. I flash my lights, roll my window down, and wave them on to drive around me. They don't. The middle light is blue again. Now all three blaze, red, blue, green. Could it be some kind of foreign traffic light ordered by mistake by the county government here? Do people in Austria have to memorize a semaphore handbook of traffic signals to control speed, flow, merging? Is my algorithmically fried brain too dumb and simple to remember some national announcement? I start to Google blue traffic lights when the car behind me honks again. I stick my head out the window and yell, "Go around!" No response, just a shadow behind the windshield. This is stupid. Of course I should just go. Traffic lights are suggestions. They're only useful insofar as they are useful, and this one is obviously malfunctioning. There's no one coming the other way, no one on the road at all except me and high beams. I crane my neck to look for red light cameras, but see none. This isn't exactly a high traffic zone. Honk, 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 shut up. But it obviously can't just be broken. The lights come from the color of the lenses or the bulbs or something. A yellow light could not just turn blue. It has to mean something. Traffic lights are installed for specific reasons. They save lives. What would the world be like without them? People would just be getting massacred on the road. A camouflaged vagrant with brittle bone disease could be just now approaching the meager crosswalk, knowing that all three lights and one of them being blue obviously signals that he should walk, and if I go, I'll turn him into a human sack of dust. High beams lays on the horn and doesn't let up. The sound fills the night. My quickening heart quickens more. The lights flash, blue, then red-green, then blue-green, then red-green, then all three, flashing and flashing and flashing. It's a message, it's a fucking message, and I'm just too dumb to understand because I never understand anything anybody is trying to tell me, or I think I understand, but I get it wrong, which is way, way worse. So if the person behind me would just go and let me wait here until I get a signal that I know, just one traffic signal that I'm familiar with, I'd even take a red light at this point. I can run a red light. I've run plenty of red lights in my life just because I wasn't paying attention, and I'm still here, so if the light would just turn red, 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 please, 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 please. I let off the brake, ease my foot onto the gas, and drive through the intersection. Nothing happens. Thank you.
Yeah, so I live with Logan Taylor, and he's the worst. And he told me that piece was 826 words. 826 words, Logan? 66. 866 words. I typically tell prose readers 600 words. No more than 600 words, because otherwise I'm going to bell you. It's going to be bad, which is why he did that at the speed of light. Oh, I did want to get this in. We are at the Indiana Humanities House. They give us this house for free to do this once a month. Subsidize them. Subsidize the arts. Indiana Humanities, keep the arts alive in Indiana, keep the humanities alive in Indiana. We love their staff, we love their mission, and the fact that they do stuff like this all the time. There's a place to donate in the back, or you could just send them love. All of those things help, truly. Our next reader has been here in the audience many times and has not read yet, so I want the biggest welcome after I put them up. This is going to be Richard, and their one-sentence book and art recommendation is A Bigger Message, Conversations with David Hockney, who did pass away this week, brilliant artist. So everybody, please help me give the largest, loudest welcome to Richard.
Thank you. Number one, to be a part of this lineup is kind of crazy. We have some local legends here, especially Sarah, to be speaking in front of you is like opening up for somebody who's crazy like that. So real quick, just got to get that out. So something historic happened last night. The Knicks won the NBA championship. I'm not from here, so you can't get too mad. So that made me think of my dad, because my dad was not a Knicks fan, but he really respected the history of all sports, in particular basketball. So I started thinking about something I talked to my dad about. So that's the first piece. Knicks in 5. Hey, Dad, I'm going to go to New York. Oh, cool. Are you going to a Knicks game? Yeah, Dad, I'm going to fight off my fear of flying to miss out on all the art and culture of New York City and go to a basketball game. I remember everything about the last conversation I had with my dad. Funny enough, his beloved Cowboys had just been eliminated from the playoff contention that year in the NFL. I did ask him how he felt about that. He did sigh, and he said, well, I'm not disappointed because it will always be next season. It started making me think about how my dad literally spoke in sports metaphors. Keep your uniform clean. Don't watch anyone else's scoreboard. Don't ever ask to be taken out of the game. I didn't really understand it then. I don't know that I understand it now. But it does seem a little bit more clear to me when I think about the kind of conversations I had with my dad. And the one thing I think about is he would have loved this Knicks team. He would have loved seeing them win. He loved talking about the Garden, and he loved talking about New York. So to all the other teams that are not the Knicks, there's always next season. Next one's called Bloom. There is no online shopping. There are no prices, no sales, no returns. There's no next day shipping, just a bunch of native flowers allowed to bloom together in the same field, mixing their colors, different heights, different scents, playing together on the same team. Grow here next to me. Look at how we complement each other. Unbothered, untouched, just a bunch of native flowers allowed to bloom together in the same field. If we all come from the same dirt, why do we have to define everything? Why is everything put into a box? How do we really know which one of us becomes a weed and who gets to become a flower? And if you get to know me, I do have a background in poetry. Specifically, I like love poetry, so I felt I have to do a little love poem real quick before we end. So this is my last one. Thank you again. I really appreciate being a part of this lineup. Okay, picture a composition notebook. You know, the black and white kind. Could we have a love like that? It doesn't need to be precious or cute or designed by a team of influencers. But it also doesn't need to be pocket-sized, no field notes, no throwing this into a purse. Maybe don't take any notes during work meetings with it. Keep some important dates, birthdays, anniversaries, maybe a recipe or two, a joke you heard at the bar, a song lyric that meant something to you. If you want, maybe even a journal. Mostly just fill it with memories you don't want to forget. I wonder about things like this. Could we have a love like that?
I love the first time somebody comes on a microphone because you're like, yeah, this is the last first time. Like, you'll be back over and over again. That was beautiful, Richard. I also believe every poem is a love poem, and we can talk about that, but it is true. Every poem is a love poem. Our next reader does have books for sale in the back, so please go check those out afterwards. I also wanted to let folks know that that back table, everything on the right half is free, and everything on the left half is not free, and it's got a flyer, and you can support artists with that not free thing. So the next reader, of course, is Sarah Layden. And her one-sentence book art recommendation is Heart the Lover by Lily King, which I think is some kind of prose fiction.
Novel.
It is a novel.
Excellent.
And it's excellent. All right, we have banter in the audience, which is not allowed. Everybody help me welcome Sarah Layden.
Okay, I'm doing a tiny, tiny preamble, and I'm starting my clock, too, so I'm not going to be Maurice. Just kidding. Love you, Maurice, if you're listening. One quick correction to what Sam said. One thing is free. If you sign up for it, I am giving away digital copies of the audiobook version of Imagine Your Life Like This, which is my short story collection. The audiobook is coming out at the end of this month. Yeah. And I'm going to read an excerpt from one of the stories that was actually the former title of the whole collection, and it's called I'm Not Who You Think I Am. And I sometimes still think of that as like the secret title of this book, I'm Not Who You Think I Am. And just very briefly, and I want to say thank you so much, Richard. That was really, we've been online friends for years, but the clock is ticking. So from I'm Not Who You Think I Am, this is, you'll get the very beginning of the story, and then I'm going to dive into this character who is a not so great amateur private investigator who is searching for someone. The fact of the matter is, the man I am scheduled to marry in 1 month has disappeared and taken his inheritance with him. I'm not the kind of girl who would say money changes everything, because I don't believe it's true. I want to believe we're better than that. But it changed some things. Him for one, me for another. Derry came into the money at the perfect time, 6 months before our wedding. Some people might shrug at an inheritance of $50,000, a year's salary, a nest egg, something to sock away for a rainy day or midlife splurge, money to plant and grow in some sort of investment incubator. For us, it meant the wedding would be covered and then some. Derry had other ideas, and wouldn't I like to know what they are? Wouldn't I like to know where to find him so I could ask? The next afternoon, I drove 50 miles east to the Classy Chassis, a gentleman's club with a signboard that read, "Meet Jasmine and Brittany and Destiny, prime rib buffet, $8.99. I had eaten 2 organic choco granola bars in the car and declined the hostess's offer of a menu. Auditions aren't until tomorrow, she said, sizing me up. I shook my head. In my best PI move, I flashed my wallet-sized photo of Derry. Know this guy? I asked. She was wearing a furry bikini, and her pale white skin had reddened along the straps, as if allergic to fake fur dander. She narrowed her eyes. Maybe. Why? I'm his family. He's missing, and we need to get any leads we can. Missing? Like, what does that mean? Run off? Kidnapped? Left for dead? Jesus, I said. He's my fiancé. I teared up then. She pretended not to notice, though whatever was on my face registered with her. You want Destiny, she said, pointing to the stage where 2 women were dancing for exactly 1 other customer. She added helpfully, she's the one with her top off. I picked a table and waited for Rihanna's SOS to end, the tra-la-las trailing off, then laid down a 5 and caught Destiny's eye. She hopped off stage and pranced over. I tried not to gawk at her orange 3-inch heels or her matching bikini bottom or her bare breasts. There was nowhere to look but her impeccably made-up face. I showed Derry's picture and repeated what I had told the hostess who watched us. They communicated via a system of nods. A real gentleman, Destiny said earnestly, as if she wanted to make Derry look good to me, here, in this place. Never got handsy when he tipped me, she said, snapping the elastic band that constituted underwear. I set my mouth in a thin line. Were you 2 a thing? Were you together? Destiny gave me a look, the kind a mom gives a 3-year-old for refusing a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. She was, I knew without knowing, just such a mom. Honey, I am a professional, she said, but not that kind of professional. Wish I knew more, but he hasn't been in for a while, maybe not since last summer. She glanced in a compact mirror. Where had she stashed it? And tweaked her eyeshadow. She appraised me, and I sat up straighter. Do you even wear makeup? God, I'd kill for your cheekbones. I was wearing makeup now, but I thanked her. Like a magician, she materialized a glossy brochure and slid it across the table. I'm a certified face-to-face consultant. I'll do your colors free of charge if you host a party of 10 or more women, hypoallergenic and fragrance-free. I nodded, though I couldn't think of a list of 10 women, period. I thanked her for her time and offered another $5 bill. She surprised me with a hug and wished me good luck. I had never hugged a topless woman before. Her skin was slightly sticky from sweat, also soft as a baby's.
That was beautiful, Sarah. Thank you so much. All right, our next reader, as mentioned, is half of the show that runs Nightjar down at what is now called Cami, used to be Tube Factory. Lisa Lowe is featuring on Wednesday, June 17th. But Michelle, poet in her own right, Michelle Neiman, one-sentence book art recommendation. I've never heard of this before. This is Beast in View, which I think is a poetry collection by Muriel Ruckheiser. Everybody, please clap for Michelle Neiman.
Thank you, Sam, and I appreciate being able to read here. And do come out on Wednesday to Nightjar or Thursday to Tomorrow Books and check out Lisa Lowe. She's here from Chicago, so that's why she's 2 nights in a row. She's promoting a new book, or her first book of poetry called Replica. Okay, so in honor of Pride, I'm going to read some especially queer or super gay poems. Anyway, and one of them, Shell, this one is coming out in the Chrysalis anthology. Chrysalis is a workshop that Autumn Pryor runs at Irvington Vinyl and Books. It's on a different Wednesday, the first Wednesday. It's first Wednesday, yeah, and so it's a great space if you're a queer writer. Check it out, and this is forthcoming in an anthology that Autumn's putting together. So, Shell. Eating sardines on crackers, alone in a tent in a windstorm by Big Stone Bay, near the Straits of Mackinac in May. Pure bliss. Township, that is, Emmett County, Michigan. Who knew in this life I'd have time to be who I am? Simple as that isn't. You have to know, I suppose, the reference. Eating sardines on crackers with my now ex-wife in this same tent in Death Valley in a different windstorm 8 years ago. Or maybe all windstorms are the same wind, really. Like the sea, how can you divide it? But separate we did, and are, and always were, of course. We just forgot, or I did, or tried to. How to say that though I lost myself in another, I find myself so much the same, yet so differently too. An all-weather lesbian out on the town, in a dress and maybe even heels, attracted to men who are attracted to all-weather lesbians. But here I get to be only me, with 2 pebbles and 1 shell I've collected, like a child again, finding myself in the world. All right. What's the time?
Almost 3 minutes.
Oh, great. I'm going to read one more. Okay. This is called Fringed Polygala, and it's part of a series of poems I'm writing that are addressed to wildflowers. So I often write poems to spring ephemerals. So this is a purple one. And actually, this was, at least the first draft was written on the same trip to Michigan mentioned in the last poem. Okay, Fringed Polygala. Why, hello, what kind of gal are you? Peeking purple out of the green woods, gay wings your other name. You're not very ladylike, are you? With your violet tubular double flower and your 2 wing-like sepals, guarded by 4 leaves and topped with the white and purple gather and burst of your fringe. Decked out for a gala, you're no demure wallflower. You're nearly ready to climb up on that stage, fling off your fringes. The book says you're almost orchid-like, and also a false milkwort, though another book seems to think you're true. Ain't that always the way, these naturalists and their debates about who's the real mother, which woman nurses best, whether they call you polygala or polygaloides. And then they saddle you with the species name paucifolia. Who are they to declare your leaves few? They gather enough light for you. You're rhizomatic, sending the fingers of your roots sideways through the soil, springing up in mats and carpets, unscrolling metaphorically in fecund pages of theory. They call you colony forming without reflecting on their settler selves. They track your lines of flight without checking their own baggage. Along your underground tendrils, they write, grow highly reduced, self-fertilizing subterranean flowers. They don't even know to ask if you're polyamorous or pansexual or simply self-sufficient, a regular broad. Bold, presumptuous, impetuous, you ain't got a lot, but damn it, you're gonna use what you got. Now that's a gal.
I love poetry about wildflowers, or any flowers. Hanif Abdurraqib has a sonnet series called How Can Black People Write About Flowers at a Time Like This? That is based on him being at a reading where Ross Gay, of all people, was reading, and that is a black person who writes a lot about flowers, and there was a white woman in the audience who turned to her friend and said, how can black people write about flowers at a time like this? So, of course, Hanif wrote a sonnet series that, was all about that. And every time I hear anybody in the queer diaspora do flower poems, I'm like, oh, well, of course they're writing flower poems. It's kind of the opposite of the Hanif thing, where it's like, that's on brand. Our next reader today, I met for the first time very briefly at Thomas Nealon's workshop, which was the first in a free community workshop series that Butler MFA does. And she read a draft of something that she wrote in 20 minutes, and I very quickly looked at the sign-in sheet and stole her email so I could be like, can we get something you've worked on? And I met her in person, or more officially for the first time today. So this is going to be Rashida Green, and her one-sentence book art recommendation is Score by Kennedy Ryan, which is a great love story with historical fiction that ties in beautifully. So if everybody would please clap so loud for Rashida.
Hi. This is my first time being up here, so thanks for having me. So speaking of sonnets and a series of sonnets, I'm going to start with a sonnet that's also an acrostic because I like forms like that. Anyway, it's called a Black Love Poem because I figured that a lot of Black people need more love. But a Black Love Poem for Makai. Air can't hold breath like lungs. You were born stuck. Your right foot in my left lung, labor stalled with your tiny toes tucked between my ribs. And 9 days past expected, the levees cracked, but the dam never widened enough, kept you entombed, call it protection or love. I couldn't breathe, neither could you. Operated you out of my temple via emergency C-section. I didn't even get a chance to hear your first cry. Post-op had me alone and empty at only 18 years old, longing to embrace your little body outside of my own and hold you like I wanted to be held. This is also a form. This is a burning high bun. Yes. And it's titled Dreamscape, kind of untitled. It's kind of weird, but whatever. In a dream, I breastfed a cat. I cradled the tuxedo in my arms and presented my nipple to her as if I were her mother, as if I were the same, as if we were the same. In my dream, I wasn't a cat. She needed the fullness of my breasts, and I stroked her black and white fur until my milk let down into her. What kind of bestiality is this? Not erotic, but nurture. Ain't I allergic to cats? Ain't I a woman? I remember nursing my baby boy, stroking his round, cream-coffee-colored cheek. With his hand wrapped around my finger, I cradled him close in awe of his beauty. One day, his father punched me over and over in the face after an argument turned violent. How quickly my milk dried up for my son. What kind of brutality is this? Not love, but protection. Ain't I a mother? Ain't I a soft place to land? A breastfed cat I cradled, born from black and white. Bestiality is nurture allergic to a woman. Nursing my baby boy, stroking his hand, his beauty. His father punched me, turned violent. Milk dried for brutality. This protection, a mother, a soft place to land. Cradled my boy, born black, white, beauty turned violent for this protection. Okay, and then this is my last one. It's not a form, but it's called a litany for rest. I guess it is a form if it's a litany. Okay, never mind. A litany for rest. Don't fight any more battles brought to your fields. Let the drowsiness creep in from behind and embrace you like lover. Don't cry any more tears to drown out your blooming flowers. Give your eyes and heart a reprieve for a while. I want to give you daisies and sweet peas and poppies while you're still breathing and conscious because you fight unseen revolutions every day. I know you're tired. A vacation as long as a month of Sundays would never be relaxing enough. Every affirmation I speak is spelled for your ignition, a slow burn to purge the decay. I wish you rest. For Black women like us, rest comes only in death. I wish you dead. I wish you infinite la petite morts, so your demise is pleasurable. I pray for you deep sleep because the waking world has been too much to handle lately. I pray you 333 full nights of restorative slumber. I pray your cells to regenerate and all dead things and dying to be reborn. With bended knees and hands steepled in rote memory stance, I tarry for the spirit of Mr. Sandman to surround you like quilt. I command his essence to drip down your throat and into your bloodstream, like Benadryl or NyQuil to make your eyelids so heavy a gentle breeze would make them collapse. If the exhaustion isn't strong, I'll make sure propofol is your lace lullaby. When the REM cycles can run no more and your eyes begin to flutter, I hope they open to a new reality where everything goes just right. Every baby lives in this one, your body flawed, but still temple, still divine. And if the alchemy isn't just right, I pray your dream tendrils strike a match to the sun and burn all the bullshit down.
Oh, thank you. All of my very important notes. Yeah. So Rashida Green, who just did 3 different form poems that were incredible, you can learn from her for, is it $10 or more? It's free. It's free. What? It's like cheese here. It's free on the 3rd Sundays. So if you write something or read something here and then you want to mash it into a form and real life revise it, go see Rashida at Ujamaa on the 3rd Sunday of the month for free from 2 to 4 p.m. And now, my mentor. And our next reader will be Bryce Berkowitz. So Bryce's one-sentence book art recommendation is Bastards of the Reagan Era by Reginald Dwayne Betts, which is, in fact, the wreck of the night. Please help me welcome Bryce Berkowitz.
Hello, hello. I was looking at what I was going to read for Thursday, and I was flipping through my book, and I was like, there's so many poems in here that I've just never read in public. And so I'm just going to read those. And they're all super short. So the first 2 take place when I lived in West Virginia. So here we go. When you said that, I never said this. That walk from the library to your car, the night pregnant with silence, unable to speak because it was an ending. So all we did was breathe, walk and breathe, until in the parking lot, 2 bright pink crab apples, their blossoms carved out of night. One bloomed upright, the other drooped like low-hung fruit. I don't know what this is. It's not the April I know. All right, number 2, it's called We Do What We Do. I can't find north in West Virginia. Beneath the pine shade on Lillian, I've run the way I've always run, the way anger borders love, how the spoon bends a certain way. Maybe I'll never know what's right. Beneath a street light, a star trail, sometimes silent is as loud as I can be. Most of my poems are like 2 pages, so this is just like flying. It feels so weird. All right, this one I wrote when I lived in Montana. All these mountain poems. Pretty good for now. Storm clouds blocked by the eastern ridgeline explode and billow into new forms of self. So what is it you want? I'm tired of pretending. It's need. The tulip's green leaves sprouted. The bulbs didn't make it. But that's beaut. That's what they say. All right. Last one. This is about my dad in Illinois, both Southern Illinois and Chicago. It's called Feeling Out of Place at Home, where I monitor what my father eats, where the corporate cubicles' minor regrets reflect off Lake Michigan like dim stars. The sunset bleeds toward another planet, while sailboats bob on the water. The sky is cloudy, our future cloudy, but let's shoot the barrel rim, hammer weather vanes, wake up happy from this dream where we're falling. Between the gaps in the leaves, between the branches we stay. Let's get twisted like cocktails between the sheets of the afternoon. Tattoo sunflowers inside our dreams. It's summer again, and I'm kayaking with my father, unsure if I want kids, but on the lake the dusk is lovely. I feel lost between clouds and their reflection, here at home, hoping the song's final note echoes inside someone long after I'm gone. Thank you.
And you can hear Bryce again next week. Our next reader tonight very rarely comes to read here. We had Sean Lovelace, who had a family emergency last weekend, and John was like, "Oh, I can step up if you need. I have this new piece." And I was like, "John, we haven't featured you in 8 months of doing this." John has only ever once filled an open mic slot. John is somebody who's been doing journalism and mentorship and creative nonfiction and audio fiction and all of those things forever. And he sits here in the corner with his little headphones on and records this whole show for WQRT. And I am not the most articulate person. I mishmash lots of things, which makes John's job incredibly difficult. John spends about 8 hours editing this show every month for free. So his one-sentence book art recommendation is Assume the Worst by Carl Hyacin. I also want to say that John reads more than almost anybody I know, so that's probably a good rec. Please clap and embarrass him. John Strauss.
Thank you, Sam. I'm just the sound guy. But a few days ago, I got a Facebook message from a woman named Emily. And I didn't know her. You know, sometimes these messages come in, I didn't recognize the face or the name or anything. It's a middle-aged woman. She apparently knew me. She said, "I wanted to take a moment to thank you for your involvement in Big Brothers, Big Sisters all those years ago in South Bend, and to let you know you were appreciated and made a difference." That's kind of nice to hear. Big Brothers was just amazing. I worked with a couple of little brothers. Their moms were always grateful. It was a touching experience. I was just out of college. I was living in South Bend. Worked a pretty hard job with kind of long days. And the Sunday afternoons that I spent with my little brother Mike were just kind of a good time for both of us. We checked out the campus at Notre Dame. We did hikes in the parks. We visited this place where I worked where there's a lot of technology. But Mike's favorite thing was riding bikes, and we did a whole lot of that. His little brother always wanted to go with us, and but the thing is, in Big Brothers, you can only work with one person at a time, and that's the person that you're matched with. But when I would bring Mike home, I would kind of hang out with Mike and his mom and his little brother, and we'd play cards. We like to play Uno. We'd just hang out. His mom really appreciated these visits, and she let me know. We had snacks and, kind of little family moments. This was a long time ago, and, things had changed. One day we came back from our bike ride, and I learned about this man who had recently entered the picture. Mike's mother had a boyfriend. He and I shook hands, didn't seem to have a lot in common, and he didn't seem real excited about the Big Brothers program. Life happened. About that time, I kind of lost touch. I took a job in Indianapolis, and I lost touch with Mike. And that was, I guess, the end of the story, or what I thought anyway. This was back in the 80s. The Emily note was a real surprise. I figured this could be one of the moms. She looked younger than I would have expected, but those folks had appreciated the time I spent with their children. In any case, I thanked her for reaching out, and I said, Big Brothers was a life-changing experience for me. I just hope the boys got as much out of it as I did, because I got a lot out of it. How did you know, by the way, that I was in Big Brothers? I never met this person. Emily wrote back, and she said, well, I thought about reaching out over the years to thank you. I was in the program and paired with you in the 80s, although I had a different name back then. We rode bikes a lot. You were very kind. You expanded my worldview. We spent a few visits over at the ND campus and your job. Back then, you would have known me as Mike. You showed that an adult could be a parent figure and still be kind. I was determined that I would do something to help people when I was able to. So she went to IU. She studied journalism and political science, volunteered at a home for children and teens, worked in youth sports, coaching and refereeing basketball and softball. Emily's now been married for 29 years. She has 2 daughters in their early 20s. Everybody's doing well. It wasn't always easy, though. The boyfriend that I met on that last visit turned out to be an abusive person. He beat Mike so badly that they had to be hospitalized. The mom was too frightened to tell the police. I didn't know any of that. For all these years, this was just an unfinished story. My friend had disappeared from my life, and over the years I wondered what happened, and then out of the blue, this story just resumed. The part that struck me was this line of our time together. She said, you showed that an adult could be a parent figure and still be kind. And that really hit me because, as volunteers, teachers, coaches, we don't usually hear that. You throw a pebble into the pond, and you don't know where these ripples go, right? We don't know what small acts of kindness end up mattering. And then, without warning, on a random afternoon, out of nowhere, we find out. We learn that some of these stories just don't end the way that we thought that they did. All these years, I wondered what happened to Mike. Now I know a little bit. I know that Mike became Emily. I know she built a life, married for 29 years, raising 2 daughters. She spent her life helping young people. And I know that one afternoon long ago, a kid that I took on these bike rides was trying to learn a lesson I didn't know I was teaching, that grown-ups could be kind. There are still big parts of Emily's story that I don't know, but after all those years, it's enough to know this much. She's doing okay.
John told me that story, not sort of put together like that, sort of very soon after it happened. And I was like, that makes sense because John has mentored in one way or another almost everybody I know, and I know a lot of people. I'm one of those people who know a lot of people. John is just that guy, and I think she was very lucky to have you, so thank you for sharing that, John. That was beautiful. Our next reader is David Strange, and I have so many things to say about David Strange. David runs Listen Please, which is on the 3rd, typically. Oh, on the 2nd, really? Oh, man. These open mics and their alliteration and all of the things David runs a gig at Chatterbox called Listen Please, which is on the second Thursday of every month from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. They get a whole 20 minutes to do stuff. So it's a very different vibe, and it's awesome because it's the Chatterbox down at Mass Ave. In addition, David's one-sentence book art recommendation is Universal Corner by Mitchell L.H. Douglas, which just came out from Persea Books. It is a beautiful book of poetry that uses the written word like music. I imagine David wrote that as his book recommendation because David will be in conversation with Mitchell at the same time that Bryce will be at Tomorrow Bookstore on Thursday, June 18th at 7:30 or 7 p.m. At 7:30. So hit one, then hit the other. That's a lot of poetry. That's a lot of good things. Please help me welcome David Strange.
It is also an amazing book. That was me just being advertising, but I do recommend it as well. I also am hosting something called This Could Be Everything.
Oh, yes. Take time for that.
It's where I ask 6 local poets to find 6 local artists, and then they collaborate, create a new piece of artwork and poetry together. It's June 26th, 28th, thank you, I don't even know my own event. June 28th from 4 to 7 at the White Rabbit. There's a DJ, the poets and artists will be discussing their work. There's a bar, it's a fun time, please come out. Caden over there has done it before. I don't think anyone else has, but you know.
Amani and Hazel have both featured here.
Yes, and we'll be doing it, yeah. So June 28th, Sunday, from 4 to 7 at the White Rabbit. I do other things too. I'll tell you about them when I'm not on the clock. I haven't read this poem anywhere besides Chatterbox, so I picked it today. It's titled, I'm writing this poem because I feel like I want to drink. Because the day was long and the tire was flat and the bus was late. We argued, but later we walked and talked and saw the fallen trees and debris thanks to the midday storm. The air was soft but heavy and it smelled of fire and lilacs. Things are burning, things are blooming. There are so many people who I want to know me now but only knew me then. My sparkling water has gone flat and the taste reminds me of gin left over from walks home alone from the bar. How I drink it the next day because that's what an alcoholic does, that's what I did. When I walk to the store alone the next day, the air smells of exhaust and I can hear chainsaws cutting into limbs littering the sidewalk. I wish you were here walking with me. Look how blue the sky is. Thank you. Now, this next poem, it's for Richard and his father. Not because he's a Knicks fan. Richard, the toughest thing I had to do today was not boo when you talked about the New York Knicks. It's all love. It's all love, I say, and next year is the Pacers' year. But it's titled On Sports. And for Sam, it is a love poem. Yeah! I tell you this because I cried when Dan Weldon died, and I knew it was okay because my father cried when Dale Earnhardt died. Because I had the dream of playing first base for the St. Louis Cardinals when I was young. And when they won the World Series in 2011, a friend asked who died, mistaking my tears of joy for grief. Because when someone asks me my favorite book and I say Drive by Larry Bird, and you respond with really, I can look them in the eye and say, really. Because a man who called himself the normal one made the people happy and connected a lady from Liverpool and a kid from Lagodi. Because I was raised Catholic, but the thing I pray for most is the Pacers to win a championship. Richard. Because my jump shot is a Southern Indiana calling card, and it gives me my name, and it tells me, my jump shot is a Southern Indiana calling card given to me from the roots of my past, and it will tell you my name. I tell you this because I want you to know me. I tell you this because I love you. Thank you. I'm going to do it on time, so. All right, one more, and then please talk to me afterwards. Also, if you're ever interested in featuring at Listen Please, let me know. Because every month I gotta find 3 to 4 poets and readers and writers. So not just poetry, it's open format. And this poem is titled 5 Senses from Lagodi, Indiana. The smell of fresh laid asphalt in the high school parking lot before practice. The feel of your burnt skin warmed by the summer sun while we sat outside the city pool. The taste of cheap vodka and sun-kissed soda that started the problem. The look my mother gave me at my grandparents' house after my cousin died. The sound of the church bells growing fainter the further I get away from town. Thank you.
Our next reader today I booked out several months in advance because she is a very, very busy lady, rightfully so. So Ariel Vinson is a poet and a prose writer, has Under the Neon Lights, which did very well, is a YA novel that was all over the entire US and is on pre-order right now for If This World Were Mine, which is a YA novel that is on pre-order, and it is holla for $14. Holler for $14. $14 holla, as it were. One sentence book art recommendation from Ariel, who has made time for us today, is Heavy by, is it Keese Lehman? Kiese? More banter in the audience? Absolutely not. Kiese Lehman, and I've decided that's how it's pronounced. Please correct me later, because I love to be corrected. All right, please clap for Ariel.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me. I'm gonna speed through this, y'all. So first I'm going to read an excerpt, itty bitty excerpt, from If This World Were Mine. It's a YA novel in verse about a girl who's a senior in high school who just lost her brother, and they had these kind of dreams together about going to an HBCU. So I'm gonna read that, then I'm gonna read a poem, then I'm gonna get out of your face. This one is titled The House Without Sound. My mom slips her shoes onto the entrance rack, takes her purse, jacket, self into her bedroom. She says, "Good night, I love you," then blows a kiss. I blow one back and she catches it, tucks it in her pocket, closes the door. Our house is one bedroom, too big now, too large for two, still full with Jordan's things. His shoes sit at the doorway, his jacket hangs in the hall closet. For a while, it was a comfort. Made me feel like he was still here. Now, it reminds me of what we're missing. We all used to sit in the living room after games and share our reviews. How well or badly our team played, how the band sounded, how the swans looked, how crowded it was. Jordan would dance in the middle of the living room, mocking us majorettes. Stiff hips swaying in the wrong direction, knees locked. I'd get up and pretend to be him, a trumpet player, both hands in front of my mouth, rocking back and forth, making sounds with my lips. I miss Mom's screechy laugh, full voice, how much she loved watching us. Back then, we never knew quiet. Now, the silence is syrup thick. Thank you on that one. So that one comes out on January 26, 2027. Again, it's $14. It's a paperback. Support your local authors. You can pre-order it back there, or you can get it at your local bookstore, Loudmouth, which is owned by Leah Johnson, my best friend. So, so this next poem I wrote in a workshop, and the prompt was to write a letter to someone. There were more rules, but that's what I'm going to tell you. So I chose Beyonce because I love Beyonce, but I think we needed to have a conversation. And I wrote this right after the National Guard was deployed to D.C. Beyonce, do you know they out in D.C. slave catching? Track starring like Sha'Carri trying to arrest niggas for stoop sitting. Them boys chasing like there's a bounty, like they want to wear black as a top layer. I saw it with my own eyes, watch sagging jeans get hiked up, watch grown men remember their gate jumping years, watch them close their eyes and say a prayer for their now lotioned, creaky, unreliable knees before they took off like a missile. Beyonce, you know it's an encampment on my block. Sweaty black men with their boxes and blankets, shirtless and sleepy, congregating through the day and curled up by night. Them men look at my apartment, tallest on the block, and I wish I had enough money to house them all. But all I got is enough for 2 new glueless wigs, thick as a corn maze. Beyonce, can you believe I look like SZA? Can you believe after 25 years I decided to go fishing in my eyelid and look at the world differently? I paid $160 to see some new shit. I was hoping the contacts would blur out all the breaking news and the amount I see every time I log into Capital One and my grandma's dying memory. I swore I'd leave her mind alone in this poem. I swore I'd take her more places. Beyonce, Can you believe that every time I talk to her, my heart cracks like king crab in a seafood boil? It leaks garlicky juice, and when I wipe it away and swipe the tears from my eyes, I make them burn. Beyonce, can you believe they took a torch to hella birth control? I got babies to avoid having. In this economy, only you can afford to have kids, and even a rich person like you make your kids work for a check. Beyonce, can you believe I spent 3 times my grandma's life insurance to see you? Hopped on a plane and left my man to wilt, came back with a new reason to dance. My American requiem starts with blood. Fuck the big ideas, let's just start over. Purge the racism, white and blue. With a Bible on the dash and a gun on the glove, I'm ready to kill this country and skin it like a deer. Beyonce, can you believe I tried to twerk my way to rich and fucked up my knee? Can you believe no one cares about talent anymore? Can you believe you and a few others got enough money to turn this world around? Can you believe I'll do whatever it takes to keep my people from suffering? Look at there, look at there. Can you believe I'll rip everyone to shreds if it means we can finally get a leg up in this country? Thank you.
Yes, that is correct. Yes, correct indeed. So I'm disabled and I'm coming out of that disability. I was agoraphobic, actually, still am, but like less so. Obviously, this is not where I live. Can you imagine if it were though? And I just invited people here every month to do poems for me and prose. But between those two things, so back in 2019, I was poetry editor for Booth, a Journal, which is Butler MFA's journal, and I was on that staff for like 3 years. And who here has ever like read or been on staff for a journal before? A couple of folks. Oh yeah, a couple of folks. Okay. It's crazy. It's like an insane thing to do with your time. You don't get paid very much at all, if at all. You sit in a room and you like scream about what's good and what's bad and what's ugly and what's working and what's not. And it's the best week of it's the best experience of your life, and you make no money. That's it. That's how it ends. But in that whole 3-year period, we saw so much amazing stuff. And when I was poetry editor, a poem came in and it was only 8 lines long and they were so short. And I wish I was just talking to Kaden, I can't memorize it all. So I don't have it. But the first line was, and this was in 2020, so if that means anything. The first line was, "We Hennessy the soil," and it was an elegy for Black boys. And I was like, Hennessy as a verb is crazy. That's crazy work. And every single word was like that. And it was Ariel Vincent when she was like, what? Like a baby. I was like, why are you writing this poem as a baby? So then I was inside for a long time. And the reason I tell you that is because all of a sudden I was like doing social media for a local literacy nonprofit. And all of a sudden I was like, Under the Neon Lights, YA novel. Ariel Vincent, that can't be the same Ariel Vincent. So just range. Anyway, I try not to do that whole thing, but I'm so grateful you came, and I think your poetry really like messed me up many years ago, and I've been thinking about it. So there's that. Our last reader of the day, I met at Yats, where he works, and in fact is a voice. So Damon Jones. One sentence book art recommendation is I'm currently snailing my way through Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. Chinua Achebe. Thank you. Everybody, please clap for Damon Jones.
I read really slow and constantly restart books, so I've gotten like halfway through and then stopped reading for a month and then restarted because I have to finish what I start. Anywho, here's a poem. The sky is the canvas from which my wildest thoughts are sprouted. I tilt my head to the heavens, and I gaze until little seeds of ideas rain down into my brain, and I see the clouds rhythmically dancing, a beautifully synchronized interpretation of love and harmony. I translate their melodies into combinations of vertical jumps and dives over and under expectations, horizontal electric slides as I ease images into minds like pushing a car up the driveway. Rounded off vibes like roller coaster rides as I circle back to the point. The sky dances as I study its movements and decipher its codes into calm moments right before the storm. The tension of rain soon to come thick in the air, with high hopes that it will all pass. Hyper-awareness of the room, every moment consumed with another analysis for the next painting or proof, that whether or not others view what I view as a distraction from life, I believe the sky has spelled out an opposite truth. I've read it in the shadows casted by all-seeing trees. It's a bit like Morse code if you take the time to read stuttered, staggered, splattered blotches and brushstrokes of pain and poverty, disdain and sovereignty meant to free a caged bird until it can finally soar to the pockets of rain drifting above so that it may swim in the sky yet again until it too becomes the sky, so that it may feel itself, reflected into itself, reflected upon myself, projecting into me. The sky is the canvas that I paint my dreams upon. It is my dream keeper, and I log my fantasies and desires into the nucleus of its passing havens of swirling cotton candy rays, summer nostalgia, nourishing rain, and misty magical comfort. I paint the sky as my home, and I can paint your dreams up there too. I can make you all into splashes of stars sprinkled throughout a dusk sky. But you must promise me to be a light in the dark when your people look up to you at night, dreaming also to someday be as free as us. I can paint you into a distant moon, but you must oath to never leave your planet's side, even if a greater dream presents itself. That dream is now your dream as it is her dream. As you grow and by time she is consumed, you must become the planet to her moon and float her along for the journey. I can paint you as a snowstorm. Fierce and cold, an ice queen of the Arctic winter, ruler of the days of night, challenged by none, I can paint crystals of pure snowflakes dangling at your neck, a gauntlet of black ice on your right hand and a trident of hail in your left. Scores of foolish men splashed at your feet, but you must promise unto me this, to melt away by summer's arrival and allow her to be free upon this land. You must accept when your time is done. You must allow me to paint a new dream. Now, I must go. I'm Damon Jones.
I deeply appreciate that we get to do this every month. Thank you so much for coming. If this was your first time, or if you've been here every time, there's a lot of cool stuff happening in this city. Go out and do it. Thank you.
This has been Real Life Revised, a series of readings with Indiana writers, produced by Sam Ferrante and John Strauss, in partnership with Indiana Humanities, the Butler MFA in Creative Writing, Butler's Booth Magazine, and WQRT Radio,